If you're over 30 and you think that it's too late to actually start building wealth or to get ahead financially, you've been lied to. I get it, right? We scroll through social media, places like Instagram, and everybody's doing so well. Everybody's doing so much better than you, right? That may not absolutely be the case. I've been in these YouTube streets for the past 2 years or so, and the majority of the content that I create is focused on financial related topics. And when I started to get some traction on this channel and I started to get some feedback and comments on the videos that I would create, there were a lot of people that left me comments that would say, you know what, I'm 40 years old or I'm 50 years old. I've never started investing. I don't know how to invest. I wish I would have started when I was younger. And to be honest with you, when they say they wish that they would have started when they were younger, I think that's true, right? I think there's no denying that if you actually get into investing earlier on in the process, I'm talking about 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, you have a much greater chance of achieving your financial goals earlier on in life. But here's the thing, I didn't actually start getting on track financially until I was in my 30s. I mean, I always had a stable job. I was in corporate America from the age of 25, and I did all the things that people do when they get out of college and they get their first job where they're earning a salary. You have to go out and you have to buy the car, you have to buy the house, you have to do all of these things that keep us in perpetual debt. I was one of those people, and I've talked a lot about that on my channel over the past year or so about my process and my experience in my 20s. And I often felt that way too, right? I remember coming home from work one day and I was just thinking, like, on my ride home, like, am I ever going to be able to get ahead? I see all of these other people doing so well. Were we lied to about the American dream and about how everyone has an opportunity to get ahead? Or are there people out there that are gatekeeping the secrets that are preventing me from being able to get ahead? Now, there are secrets out there. I wouldn't necessarily, maybe I won't say secrets, but there are tips out there that most wealthy people know and understand that the majority of us are not taught. We're not taught this in schools, right? We're taught to be on time, complete your work, do exactly as you're told, but we're never really taught about how to actually build wealth, and more importantly, what to do with that wealth once we get it. So most of us are in the same boat. But if you're in this category, right, you're in your 30s, you're in your 40s, or even beyond, and you haven't started with building wealth or figuring out what to do, you're not alone. But if you're in that same boat, right, you're in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, and you haven't got started with investing and you're wondering, like, what can I do to get ahead? There are steps out there that you can take to make sure that you get on the right track. And this video is not about telling people not to go out and buy that $5 coffee. That $5 coffee is not what's preventing you from building wealth. And skipping that is not necessarily going to be the key to you to start building wealth. Now, unless you're using that $5 to jump into my $5 a day investment challenge. You know, I had to plug that. But it's not really about that. It's really about the habits that it takes to actually start to build wealth. So I often talk about several things, and I'll go through those in this video to help you understand that you still have plenty of time to actually get ahead. And by the end of this video, you'll understand that building wealth is not necessarily hard to do. It takes time and patience. And I often say that building wealth is a slow process, especially in the beginning. And that's where most people have a problem, because they'll start down the path to building wealth. They'll start doing the things that they need to do, but it doesn't happen fast enough. So what do? We give up and we go back to the same things that we always did. And then a year or two later, we have the same song and dance, same story about how we can't get ahead and the game is rigged against us. So it's very simple. And I'll lay those out right here. The very first thing is understand that you have enough time. That's number one. You have enough time to get yourself on track and get yourself together. Now, when it comes to how quickly that can happen, that's all going to depend on you. What are you willing to give up to get what you want? Are you willing to give up that car that you're paying $800, $900, $1,000 a month for so you can get things turned around much faster? Because you could always go back and get that. Are you willing to give up that rent or that mortgage that's costing you half of your monthly paycheck? Are you ready to do that? Are you ready to stop going out every single weekend and partying and spending money without budgeting it and accounting for it? If you're not willing to do these basic things, then it's going to be really difficult for you to get out of debt and get your life turned around. Now, you could still do these things, right? You could still keep the things that you have, but it'll either delay the process of you getting on track or it'll stop it completely. Now, if you've watched my content over the past year or so, I've talked a lot about how I spent my 20s in this perpetual loop of not being able to get ahead. It wasn't until I hit my 30s to where I really got locked in and started thinking about what my financial future looks like. So I wasn't somebody that was 18, 19, or 20 that was able to start young and now I'm able to enjoy the fruits of my labor. It didn't work that way for me. Now that you've realized that it's not too late to start getting ahead, the very next thing that you want to focus on is, okay, what's your plan of attack? You have to have a plan. You can't just go and do the same things that you've always done and expect a different result. We know what that is. That's insanity. If you want a different result, you have to approach things much differently. And matter of fact, a very quick way to do this is look around and see what everybody else is doing and do the exact opposite. It's crazy, right? Do the exact opposite, right? Everybody else is going out and worrying about keeping up with the Joneses and worrying about what everybody else is doing. You do the opposite. You stay to yourself, you keep things in perspective, and you continue to do what you need to do. It's that easy. I'm a social person. I like to go out and meet people, talk to people, understand what's going on, but I also am the type of person that enjoys being by myself so I can think, I can plan, I can strategize. And that's one of the things that I think has been a strength of mine, right? I can compartmentalize things in my life and it doesn't interfere with any other part of my life. Earlier on, I mentioned instead of going out and getting that coffee, maybe you jump into my $5 a day investment challenge. Now, I was just joking, of course, because buying the coffee is not the problem, right? We already talked about that. But it's the mentality of if you're willing to do that every day, it's almost probably become a habit. So make investing or making good financial decisions a habit too. I definitely believe that you can have and do all the things that you want to do within moderation. We shouldn't follow some one singular track of people saying, hey, you can't do this. You can't enjoy your life because that $5 or that $10 that you spend over here is going to, ruin your life 20 years down the road. It's not realistic and it's silly. It's absolutely silly. I'm sorry to ramble on here. I was working out this morning and I just really started thinking about, people being over 30 and thinking that you're cooked from a financial perspective. And it's just simply not true. And the last thing to remember, if you're in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s or beyond, and you haven't got started with getting your financial plan for life together is one, you're not cooked, but understanding that inaction is your biggest enemy at this point. You may not know what to do. You may be uncertain. You may be scared. You may have some fear, but you have to put that aside and actually start taking some actions, taking the steps that are necessary to actually get ahead and get a clearer picture of what your future looks like, right? Earlier on the video, I talked about what are you willing to give up? That's part of your action plan. And this is something that you could do pretty quickly. This is not a 2 to 5 year transformation that you're going to be going through. This is something that you can do in 60 days. Now, that's not to say that you're going to get to your destination in 60 days, but you could change the whole direction of your life in 60 days or less. So I rambled a little bit on this video and I didn't have a script. I just was thinking about this as I was working out and I just wanted to get my thoughts off. So if you stayed with me throughout the entire video, I certainly appreciate it. Are you in your 30s, 40s, or 50s and you haven't started with investing, or you're unsure of what to do and how you're going to move ahead, and it's just an uncertain time for you? Leave a comment down below, because what I can tell you is there are people out there that are in a similar situation as you, and there are people that were in that situation that were able to get it turned around, and maybe they'll be able to leave a reply on your comment that gives you the information that you need to help get you across that finish line.